Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, I will be tracking a big storm system bringing heavy mountain snow, flash flooding rains, and also a significant severe weather outbreak to the deep south as we get into early next week, followed by the long range weather forecast. Where is winter and where is all that snow and cold? We'll be tracking that at the end of this video, so do stick around for that. But if you guys are new to the channel and have not yet subscribed, it would be nice to get up to 10,000 subscribers here for New Year's Day. So everybody hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. I cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics. So everybody do me a favor and hit both buttons, that subscribe button and the notification bell down below, to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Tracking the current alerts out there, we have a lot of alerts out west here across the Intermountain West and the West Coast. First off, across the Rocky Mountains here, we got those blue shaded colors. That is a winter storm watch. In the pink shaded colors, that is a winter storm warning. In the purple, we have a winter weather advisory. And in the green across northwestern Nevada, getting into portions of California, that is actually a flood watch or a flash flood watch across those areas, where we're gearing up for some heavy mountain snow and some flash flooding rains across the West Coast as we head in through this weekend and into early next week. And it all has to do with this very strong, dynamic Pacific jet stream moving in all across the north central Pacific, aimed right at the desert Southwest here towards California, Nevada, and the Four Corners region. And that's going to be the providing source for all this heavy rainfall and mountain snow over this weekend going into early next week. Also, a mechanism for this storm will be a strong trough diving into across the West Coast this afternoon and really deepening in a big way across Southern California, Southern Nevada, and portions of Western Arizona here, even digging as far south as the Baja of California, going into New Year's Day tomorrow on Sunday, January 1st here to start 2023. And this is going to be providing us with some very heavy mountain snow in those higher elevations, the Sierra Nevada, getting into portions here of Nevada as well, and then getting through the Salt Lake City area, some very heavy mountain snow across those areas. But in the lower elevations here into north central California, around the Sacramento area, on to the north and west of there, we're going to be talking about very heavy rainfall rates over an inch per hour, likely going through the height of this afternoon and into the evening rush hour. That will continue to spread its way to the south and east here as a 996 millibar low. Those higher elevation snows will be continuing across Salt Lake City here in northern Utah. That will be spreading back across the higher elevations of Nevada and then moving across Wyoming here as well, with those heavier snowfall rates and heavier snowfall accumulations going through Sunday morning. But where it's warm enough to rain, down toward Las Vegas, Los Angeles, here into western portions of Arizona, we're going to be seeing a lot of heavy rainfall moving into Southern California, Southern Nevada, and Western Arizona going into Sunday morning. And then going into Sunday night into early Monday morning to start next week, that system will be moving eastward with a lot of cold air aloft that will be producing some mountain snow across the Rockies, places like Denver, getting back towards Salt Lake City, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then all the way south into portions of Arizona and New Mexico, into those higher elevations toward that time frame. But over the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about feet of mountain snow, especially in those higher elevations here into Wyoming, getting into western Colorado, around the Salt Lake City area here into Utah, getting into southern Idaho here, Nevada, and much of the Sierra Nevadas as well. We're going to be talking about several feet in some of these areas, well over 2 feet of snow over the next couple of days. But also the precipitation here, the liquid precipitation, that rainfall out there, we're going to be talking about some very heavy rainfall amounts for California and Arizona and portions of Nevada as well. That will be spreading across the Intermountain West into Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. We're going to be talking about very heavy rain in those lower elevations, with multiple areas getting over an inch, if not over 2 inches of rain going through the next 24 to 48 hours. And that's going to be producing the potential for marginal to slight risk of excessive rainfall here and some flash flooding, at least isolated to scattered flash flooding potential across the California region, getting into far northwestern Nevada here as we head through this weekend. And then as we go into late Sunday into early Monday, that will spread farther south and east towards southern portions of Arizona and western New Mexico, around the Phoenix area, Tucson, and then getting over into western portions of New Mexico as well, with that isolated threat for flash flooding early next week. But also we have the warmer temperatures here. This has been a very warm start to 2023 as well as we get toward the end of this year. This is going to be a very warm start. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of these areas across the eastern Canadian provinces getting down to the eastern 2/3 of the United States being much above average here to end 2022. But like I said, once we start 2023, it's going to be much above average across the eastern 2/3 of the United States, and that will be providing for some warmer conditions even across eastern Canada, some 10 to 20 plus degrees above average during that time frame here this upcoming weekend. And you can see this afternoon, high temperatures into the 50s out here across much of the center of the country, from the Ohio Valley back across the Mid-Atlantic, even parts of the Northeast enjoying some nice mild 40s and 50s for highs today. But farther to the south across Texas and the Gulf Coast, widespread mid to upper 60s, even some 70-degree temperatures from Houston down towards Brownsville, Texas, and the San Antonio area. But farther to the north, with that deeper snowpack across the Dakotas, northern Wisconsin, and northern Minnesota, we're still going to have those teens and 20s for high temperatures later on today, and even colder times farther to the north with that heavier snowpack across southern Canada, as we get into this afternoon. That will continue as we head into Sunday, the colder air to the north. But look at these mild temperatures, guys. Middle 70s across most of central and coastal Texas and across most of the Gulf Coast as well. Those 60s will be spreading a little farther to the north across Tennessee, the Carolinas, and much of the Missouri Valley as well as we head into New Year's Day time frame here tomorrow on Sunday, January 1st. If you guys are still with me on the video, definitely press the like button down below. It gets all this weather information out to more and more people, so I definitely appreciate that. But as we get into early next week here, now we're transitioning here to Monday, January 2nd. We have the warmer air ahead of the system and that trough that's going to continue to move itself across the Four Corners region into West Texas, getting into Monday morning and even Monday afternoon. And that's going to provide a temperature battle zone here where we have the real warm temperatures, well above average temperatures across the eastern 2/3 of the United States, and then back across the west, those cooler than average temperatures, with all of that precipitation here likely falling as mountain snow across the Rocky Mountains going into Monday afternoon with those cooler than average temperatures. That's going to be providing us with some very heavy snow across the Colorado Rockies in the Front Range here, moving up across the Dakotas, especially South Dakota into western portions of Nebraska and around the Cheyenne, Wyoming area. A pretty hefty snowstorm is on the way across some of these areas. In between, maybe some ice here with some sleet and freezing rain mixing in. And then farther to the south, it's going to be all rain and possibly some severe weather as we head through the day on Monday. And then going into Tuesday, that trough will eject across the middle of the country here, sending that warm blob of air farther north and east towards eastern Canada and the Northeast as well. And then those cooler anomalies behind that cold front will start to fill in across the central and southern plains, and then moving up toward the Midwest going into early this week on Tuesday, January 3rd. That's when that system starts to occlude. We're going to have a low pressure system, likely a 996 millibar low, centered somewhere up here into eastern Iowa or portions of northwestern Illinois. You got the very heavy snow across the northwestern side of the system, pulling in all that cold air across portions of the Twin Cities, northern Wisconsin, getting back across northern Iowa here, South Dakota, and Nebraska. But ahead of that cold front, we got to watch for a squall line of some damaging winds, large hail, and yes, even some damaging tornadoes potentially as well across the deep south going into the day on Tuesday. And look at these temperatures with the setup here of severe weather going into Monday. Anomalously warm temperatures across most of the deep south here. We got the 60-degree line pushing all the way up into central Missouri around the St. Louis area, getting across the Jefferson City and Springfield, Missouri area as well. And then even some 50s all the way up toward the Chicagoland area, getting up toward Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio. But again, farther to the south across the Gulf Coast, we got those 70s out there. And then, of course, on the snow side of this, we got the 20s and the teens for highs across portions of the Dakotas, getting into Nebraska, Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin. Going into Tuesday, that cold front will continue to push its way off to the east, but not before that warm sector will open up all the way toward Toronto here. We could be near 60 degrees in Toronto, 60 degrees here in Detroit, near 60 in Chicago, and maybe even mid-50s as far north as Milwaukee as well. So definitely a very rare sight to see as we get here into early January. And then behind this system, lots of cold air with the single digits, teens and 20s for highs out here across across the Pacific Northwest and the northern plains going into Tuesday, January 3rd. We also will have the Gulf of Mexico open for business with that moisture here trailing from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up through the middle Mississippi Valley and the western Ohio Valley with those 50 and 60-degree dew points as well, providing that fuel for widespread thunderstorms, which some of these could be severe going into that Monday and Tuesday timeframe. So looking first at Monday, January 2nd, this promises to be a significant severe weather outbreak potential going in towards the end of Monday afternoon, going into Monday evening with an enhanced risk of severe weather here, a level 3 of 5 on the scale across southern and central portions of Arkansas, across the Little Rock area, northeast Texas, Texarkana, getting into toward Tyler, Texas, and northwestern Louisiana, including the Shreveport area as we head into Monday afternoon. This could be also a 30% hatched area, significant severe weather. That means wind gusts could be over 75 miles per hour, over 2-inch hail diameter as well, and also a few strong long track tornadoes, which could be EF2 or stronger strength. So we'll continue to watch that on Monday. That will move it farther to the east on Tuesday across eastern portions of Louisiana down towards the New Orleans region. Mississippi here toward the Jackson, Mississippi area, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa here in Alabama, and then getting up toward Atlanta, Georgia, and even southern Tennessee as well as we head into Tuesday and going into Wednesday timeframe. So tracking this, we got a developing cyclone as a 998 millibar low on the lee side of the Rockies moving across western Kansas. We got the heavy snow swath breaking out across the Rockies, getting up here into the northern plains. But on the warm side, we got some severe weather billowing up across portions of the Arklatex into northeast Texas, eastern Oklahoma here as we head into Monday afternoon. That will continue through Monday evening. We got some widespread thunderstorms potentially as far north as southern Wisconsin. We could be hearing some rumbles of thunder on Monday night with some heavy rainfall, but the severe weather threat will be farther to the south across the mid and lower Mississippi Valley area. So watching out here across the Arkansas area, getting through portions of Louisiana and Mississippi, even western Tennessee, potentially going into Monday evening. And then as we go through the day on Tuesday, that squall line will continue to press its way farther to the east, bringing some widespread damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes with it as well going through the day on Tuesday. And that significant swath of snowfall will continue across the Twin Cities region, getting up into the upper peninsula of Michigan and portions of southern Canada as well going through that time frame. And then Tuesday evening, we're going to shut off some of that snowfall across the upper Midwest and the upper Great Lakes. That'll be pushing across Quebec and into eastern Canada, but we'll still be dealing with potentially some severe weather down here across the southeast as we get into Tuesday evening. And it really all has to do with the kinematics here with this system. We have a very strong negatively tilted trough trying to take shape across the southern plains and the Arklatex going into Monday evening with a 80 to 90 not low, mid-level jet across the deep south, and we also have a very robust low-level jet as well, around 70 knots across the mid and lower Mississippi Valley going into that Monday and Monday evening time frame. That will provide us with the threat for supercell thunderstorms, and sometimes supercell storms do produce tornadoes, so we'll continue to watch this. This will be an overnight threat for tornadoes going into Monday evening, so definitely have multiple ways to receive warnings and watches out there. But also on the cold side, we have the very heavy snow with that full-blown snowstorm across the Dakotas, getting across portions of Minnesota, back across western Nebraska, eastern portions of Wyoming, and the Colorado Rockies, where we could have a swath of at least 6 inches worth of snow across these areas, places like Rapid City and getting into the panhandle here of Nebraska and across western portions of Minnesota. That is on the GFS model. This is the Canadian model here, the GDPS, and we're seeing that same swath of about 6 to 12 inches potentially of snow across those very same areas. So definitely lots of consistency with that. But looking longer range toward that second week, the first couple of days into the second week of January going through January 9th, widespread above normal temperatures here across the lower 48 is expected, and a very active pattern still across the desert southwest here and the west coast, especially centered on California and Nevada going all the way through January 9th. Maybe some above normal precipitation here across Texas, getting up through Oklahoma, Kansas, into portions of the Missouri Valley, which we desperately do need because of the ongoing drought across these areas. Drier than normal conditions across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and much of the Tennessee Valley going towards that time frame. Looking even farther out towards the middle of January, we still have those above normal temperatures still favored toward the middle of the month here, and that does favor also some wetter conditions across the west with those mountain snow and the heavy rainfall events as well. Maybe a little bit of some precipitation here centered on Oklahoma and the central and southern plains, moving to the north toward the Midwest as we head into that 13th time frame of January. Looking to the north here at that polar vortex, it's a pretty strong polar vortex. And what I mean by that is that it's not going to weaken up enough to have any disruptions or polar vortex splits or anything like that over the next week or so, really over the next 7 to 10 days. This is on Saturday here, January 7th here, a week from today. And you can still see all these cold anomalies with the blues, the purples, and the whites still showing up across the North Arctic Ocean here into portions of the polar vortex areas here to the north. And then as we go into the middle of the following week on January 11th, we have a little bit of a plunge toward the Aleutian Islands here of maybe a disruption starting to take place across those areas, but still much of the lower 48 still under control of that zonal flow. And then even as we head into the following week, going into Monday, January 16th now, and this is the middle of January, we may start to see that disruption start to take place enough to where we have a couple of lobes of that polar vortex moving across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, and potentially as far south as the Ohio Valley and Northeast going into the middle of January. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below. I'll give it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit that notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. I'll have my full January weather forecast here for you guys tomorrow to give an outlook on January, so do be on guard for that and on the lookout for that as we head into the next day or so. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great weekend and a great New Year's Eve out there, and I will see you all in the next video.